All right, this is the Fantasy Sports Boss with your Week 3 Fantasy Football Waiver Wire ads. So tonight the waiver wire ads go in. Always a fun time to wake up on Wednesday morning to see who you got or who you didn't get. But there's some prime names that are of interest this week. They, I think, make for fairly solid, smart ads. And we'll start with the quarterbacks. Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. So don't laugh. Jared Goff right now is piloting one of the most potent offensive attacks in the NFL. And the one thing that I spoke about with Goff previously is that if he gets protection and he gets time to go through his reads and scan the field, he could be pretty good. He played very well that 1 year with the Rams. This is a former number one overall pick, and number one overall picks have the talent, have the natural talent. And with the Detroit Lions having quite possibly the very best offensive line in football, not only are they allowing DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams to take pressure off of Goff by picking up chunks of yardage in the running game, but Goff has the ability now to go through all of his reads, and his projections, and to identify the soft spot in the defense, and the numbers are just flowing. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Goff, it's a magical chemistry that they have going right now. DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. They're going to get Jameson Williams back. TJ Hawkinson, while he hasn't gotten going yet, he's still a decent weapon. You know, DJ Chark. There are a lot of weapons for Jared Goff at his disposal, and I think that he's just going to have, and they played the Minnesota Vikings this week, and the Vikings just got torched by the Philadelphia Eagles, so I think Jared Goff should be added, especially in Superflex leagues, without a doubt, I should say. Now, Garrett Wilson will be the number one target in the waiver wire battle this week, the New York Jets. Of course, he went absolutely ballistic, 8 of 14 targets, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the comeback upset over the Cleveland Browns. Listen, the draft pedigree was there. He was an early first-round pick from an established program in the NFL that has a history of producing NFL-caliber wide receivers at Ohio State there. And so there's no shock at what Wilson is doing. The only cold water I will throw on this, though, is when Zach Wilson gets back, does he go right back to Elijah Moore as his number one receiver? Because those two did very good things last year. There is a comfort level between Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore, and Moore is no slouch in terms of the amount of talent that he has. Or does Garrett Wilson continue with his ascension? I think it could be a little bit of both, but you definitely want to use the top draft spot, the top waiver spot this week on Garrett Wilson for sure. All right, Jacoby Meyer. So we all know that he doesn't score touchdowns, but he does catch a lot of passes. That's been the deal with him the last couple of seasons. 13 targets, caught 9 passes for 95 yards against the Steelers. 31% target share. That's a very impressive number. Works out of the slot. Mac Jones, we know, excels at the short to intermediate game. Jacoby Meyer should be picked up in PPR leagues. All right, if Jahan Dotson is still there, I don't think he would be after his big week 1, but if he is still there, you pick him up. You know, I think he's very touchdown dependent. Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel, I still believe are firmly ahead of him in the target depth chart from quarterback Carson Wentz, and plus you have the tight end there, Logan Thomas, and as far as his ability to come out of the make plays down the field. And then you have Antonio Gibson coming out of the backfield. There's a lot of targets there, a lot of receivers that need targets from Carson Wentz. So I don't think Dotson is as big of a get as Garrett Wilson would be, but still, if he's out there on the waiver wire, you have to pick him up. All right, if you want to take a shot at Brashad Perriman, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could be without Mike Evans. I know the appeal was heard today. No guarantee he's going to be allowed to come back, especially as a repeat offender. So I think the 1-game suspension stands. Chris Godwin will be out again this week, most likely from his hamstring injury. And then Julio Jones, we never know what we're going to get with Julio Jones in terms of his health. So Brashad Perriman, 77% snap percentage for Perriman in terms of running routes last week. And I think he's worth a pickup there, because they're going to have to rely on him heavily. All right, Greg Dortch from the Cardinals. It's now a 2-game thing, so there's a little bit more validity to him. It just hasn't happened yet for Marquise Brown and A.J. Green. He's an aging veteran, and we're still waiting for DeAndre Hopkins to come back another 4 games. So feel free to pick up Greg Dortch. Noah Brown in deeper leagues for the Cowboys had a good thing going, helping to support the CeeDee Lamb on the opposite side of the field, and Lamb had a good game as well for Cooper Rush. So Noah Brown, and only in deeper leagues would I pick him up. All right, running backs. Raheem Mostert should be the number 1 running back. So shockingly got the lion's share of carries over Chase Edmonds, despite Edmonds getting $6 million in guaranteed money. we know Mostert is an injury waiting to happen, but he has ability. He has a history with Mike McDaniel. Very good speed. If he gets in the open field, he could take it to the house. And he also showed that he could catch the ball last week with 3 receptions. So I think Mostert is worth an add there. Ito Benjamin and Darrell Williams. If you own James Conner, especially, you want to get one of these guys, preferably Darrell Williams, who I think will get the goal line work if Conner would ever miss time over Benjamin. If you want to take a shot on Jordan Mason, I know they elevated Marlon Mack today. He's not a threat to Jeff Wilson, but I think Mason could carve out a role for himself with Davis Price now injured. So I would look to pick him up as well. Who else do I have here on my list? So tight ends, Evan Engram and Juwan Johnson both should be picked up. In fact, there's a decent amount of tight ends you can get off the waiver wire. Doug Peterson has a history of Pro Bowl tight ends in his offense going back to Zach Ertz, perennially with Zach Ertz. Evan Engram had a lot of targets last week. 7 catches for 46 yards, didn't blow the doors off anybody, but 8 targets is impressive for a tight end. And we all know young quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence like to target their tight end heavily. Juwan Johnson did a nice job for the Saints. Taysom Hill has not moved in on that territory. So Juwan Johnson, I think, this is a very pass-heavy Saints offense, so Juwan Johnson fits in nicely there. Logan Thomas and Tyler Conklin, both worth a look as well. Tyler Conklin less so, because I think, eventually with Zach Wilson coming back and with Garrett Wilson maturing, I think that I like Logan Thomas more between the two. And Logan Thomas looks good coming off the torn ACL, so I would definitely pick him up as well. In terms of defenses, not a lot of great streaming defenses this week. If you want to go back to the well with the Cleveland Browns, I don't know if you're scarred from what happened with the Jets last week. They get the Steelers and mistake-prone quarterback Mitch Trubisky, so you could look there. But those are the group that I gave you. Those are the prime names that I think you should look at to snatch off the waiver wire for week 3. So again, hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. Going to have another Crisis Point video tomorrow morning, a double Crisis Point video tomorrow morning. So make sure you're a subscriber so you see that one.